The starting lineup for Crossfire. In goal, Tyler Viston, number 1. Defenders, number 2, Justin Smith. Number 4, Jeremy Carlson. Number 8, Philip Piper. Midfielders, number 7, Nick James. Number 16, Andy Toma. Number 19, Adam Martinez. Number 20, Lars Ludwigs. Strikers, number 11.
We check mine yet? 1, 2, 3, 4. I hear you. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hear you too.
Josh Green.
Sounds good.
Number 28,
hey, Sarah.
Matthew Pavlovsky. Hello,
everyone, and welcome to Issaquah High School on Gunners Soccer, FC Soccer, presented by Swedish Issaquah. Also sponsored by ProLiance Surgeons and ProLiance Orthopedic and Sports Medicine, and by My Spine Sports Chiropractic. Welcome into Issaquah High School. Only 20 miles separate the two teams about to play on the pitch today, and that is the Washington Crossfire out of Redmond and the Gunners, the Puget Sound Gunners out of Issaquah right here in front of us. Another home game, a home match, the second in a row, and one that this team could really use. They have a very good opportunity as we introduce my cohort here up high above the pitch. Nathan Murphy, welcome in. This is a game that 3 points can be exchanged and make a huge difference to either club.
Absolutely, Keith. It's a huge game for both teams out here tonight. Both of these teams floating down toward the bottom of the table in the Premier Development League. The Crossfire in 6th place with 5 points. The Gunners, unfortunately, 8th on the table with just 4 points, but they've only played 5 matches. So both of these teams have games in hand on teams above them, and both of them really want to turn those games in hand into points here tonight as we take a pause for the national anthem.
14-game season. Boy, 3 points really, really makes a difference. We'll take pause. Welcome back. Puget Sound Gunners FC about to take on the Washington Crossfire. Roughneck Cup rivals right up the street. And, boy, this is one, as we mentioned, as we got started underway in the broadcast today, both of these teams could really use the 3 points. 3 points is the difference right now between 7th and 8th, where these two teams are at the bottom of the table. And that could vault you right up, right within striking distance of the playoffs at 4th.
It could, and not only that, it could leave you with a game in hand still on some of the teams above you. Vancouver has played an amazing 8 matches already. The Sounders have only played 5. They're sitting very pretty, but Victoria and Kitsap on top of the table have both played 7. So the Gunners have a chance. If you win both of these next 2, you've got, just like that, you've got 11 points, 10 points rather, things looking a lot different for you. It's just a huge match all the way around.
Those two matches, of course, the Washington Crossfire here today, and then on June 14th, a Saturday game at Victoria. Get to take the ride up and get the two Canadian teams out of the way on the road. Victoria on the 14th, and then Vancouver on the 15th. And that should pretty much set your table up pretty nicely if you can get the W's there and take a chance in the second half.
Keith, the next 2 weeks are really going to define this season. The Gunners started off in such a promising way. That draw, a little bit of a disappointing draw, but a good effort against Portland on opening day. And then you go down to Sunset Chevrolet in Sumner and beat the Sounders at Seattle. That's a huge win. And then to turn around, they've now lost 3 straight. It's disappointing for everybody. I know Jimmy Ball and Alex Silva not pleased with the results. I know the players are frustrated. This isn't what they envisioned happening in the last couple of weeks. So very defining swing for the Gunners here over the next 10 days or so.
Part of that definition will come without a couple of the UW players on this Gunners squad. They have finals that have to be done, and of course you take care of business there first before you can get out on the pitch, and that's what these student athletes are doing. So you're without a couple of guys that you can really count on in the center of the pitch, and but the Gunners have got a lineup that Alex Silva and Jimmy Ball think that can compete against this Washington Crossfire team.
Offense is going to be key today. Brady Ballou in the center, up top, along with Marshall Kosaka out of Seattle University. Those two guys, of course, are collegiate teammates at Seattle U, and that's going to be very important for the Gunners today. Also important to keep an eye on Keegan Rogers in goal, and I'll take a chance here to note that I made a mistake in the broadcast last week, Keegan. I said that you had gone to Seattle Sounders. That was entirely my mistake. I had bad information, and I apologize for that.
So we are first kick underway here at 7:03 p.m. and not a bad evening in June. They get a little PDL, Premier Development League Soccer, underway, and we hope you're enjoying the broadcast here on YouTube. YouTube, the league's official online video home, offering live games and feature content. You can subscribe for free to the USL PDL YouTube channel. And it's pretty obvious. Just get right there to YouTube or the PDL website, and they'll make sure they direct you properly.
And, of course, our own channel. It's Puget Sound Gunners FC.
So, of course, Kitsap at the top of the table with that 15 points. Victoria right behind them. Then Sounders and Vancouver. Kitsap kind of running away with things right now. With 7 games played, have not lost. The only team in the Northwest Division without faulting in the table. And the two teams here today would have a huge push in momentum if they can get away with a win. Starting lineups today, Nathan mentioned the strikers for the Gunners. You also have Michael Dodds, Daniel Smith, Zachary Hammond, and Eric Urzua in the midfield. Some commoners in the defensemen. Justice Dirksen, Matthew Aronimo, Joshua Miller, and Kevin Cook, the fullbacks.
Those guys have been rock steady, and in particular, they've done a nice job of limiting the damage, only surrendering the 1 goal to Kitsap last week. That was a little bit of a lucky strike very early, I think the 11th minute of that match, and then they held it for another 80 minutes or so. So solid effort from the defense last week, and we look for the same thing again here.
Held is absolutely the word to use, because it was a lot of bend, not break. And
yes,
the
indeed.
defensemen had a couple of lapses, but they had a lot of really good play.
And a lot of very good work working back when mistakes were made, and that's something that you have to do against a team like Kitsap. They exploit vulnerabilities very well, and the Gunners did excellent work in recovering from those. Like I said, only allowing the 1 goal, I think a pretty remarkable outcome for the back four and the goalkeeper of Puget Sound last week.
Daniel Smith puts some pressure for the Gunners in midfield and forces it out over in the Gunners sideline there, the bench. And now a chance on a 2-1. There's a nice through ball, and it goes to Brady Ballou. He's at about the 6-yard line, dragged down. We'll see if it's at the spot.
And that looked like a good tackle to me. It's a good effort. I'm trying to get the number of the man who came back. I think that was Philip Piper, the man out of Yale, who came back and made a beautiful slide challenge to take the opportunity from Brady Ballou.
Corner kick is left a bit short, and now an opportunity on the counter. 3 behind the ball for the Gunners. Left out wide on the right flank, and that will go out on the near touchline back to the Gunners.
That's a heady play there by Justice Dirksen. He dummy to who was going to play that ball, allowed it to go out for a throw in. Well done.
Don Martinez fooled on that. The slight hesitation was all it took out of that young man. And there's a high kick.
That's dangerous.
And that will be a free kick, and that one was going to happen one way or the other. Not a lot of happy kids in the white kits after a high foot to the chin.
Certainly, I don't think the referee thinks contact was made there. He's indicating an indirect kick, but when you stick your foot up there in an opponent's grill, even if you don't make contact, it is dangerous play, and it's going to draw the indirect free kick every time.
Nathan Max is our referee today. The first assistant, Vernon Winters. Benjamin Moore is the second assistant, and the fourth official today is Stuart Leff. Nathan Max in his third season as a PDL referee, has a lot of collegiate experience, having been a Pac-12 and West Coast Conference official. We welcome him to the Pacific Northwest. Actually was here last week, or on Friday.
He was the fourth official on, was it Thursday night that Kitsap was here, and got to witness that very tense affair, and he's got the whistle here tonight.
So we're through 5 minutes of play here early on. Gunners and the Crossfire. You would think we are at a skeet shooting competition with the monikers of both these clubs.
A lot of firepower on the field.
A lot of firepower. We'll see if that translates directly to goals. Here's the kick, the goal kick into the center of play by the goalkeeper in net for the Crossfire, Tyler Viston. Gets the call between the posts tonight.
A homegrown product is Tyler, Crossfire Academy graduate. Quite a few of those on the side. Ibra Drame, Julian White among them. And Nick Basagno played for the senior squad last year, as did a couple of others. Nicolo Piacentini's in the 18 tonight, and Christian Roldan from the University of Washington was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year.
And that is exactly what the Gunners are trying to build here in Issaquah. There's a through ball that didn't get through. Off the foot of Brady Ballou. And a lot of high air-carrying soccer. Not a lot at the feet so far in the first 5-6 minutes. Now into the 18. Got a runner in, and that will be cleared.
Nicely set away by Miller. Both teams willing to take a chance and try and find a through ball in the early going. A little bit probing as far as trying to find defensive weaknesses as opposed to looking for possession.
One in the area taken down.
Offside, I believe.
And it is indeed the near side assistant with the offside call. And now the Gunners will go forward. Kind of a schizophrenic weather day today.
Yeah, it has been.
Where we're dressed in our jackets up here high in the bleachers of Issaquah High School, but the sunglasses are on. And a lot of folks in shirt sleeves, so I'm not one of them. You are.
I am. I thought it was going to be warmer than this, but we're comfortable so far.
Certainly the precipitation has been completely without, and so we are going to be dry, and that'll, of course, play the ball a lot differently on this artificial turf as Ballou brings it up.
We noticed that last week, that the ball already, even when it's dry, skips on this surface a little bit. So you would assume that when it gets wet, it would be even more in that direction, though we haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Ballou reloads the offense. Back to Justin Smith. Now they'll just take it into a regrouping situation and try to get some offense forward, taking it up to the right-hand flank.
Nice pressure from the Washington Crossfire forwards here, trying to disrupt the possession attempt by the back four of the Gunners.
And the shape of the defense for the Gunners, very, very precise so far. They came about 20 yards forward on that attempt into the attacking third, and then just like clockwork, we're back on the 20-yard line.
That's something we've talked about a couple of times this season, the difference between this year's club and last year's as regards communication among the back four and between the back four and the goalkeeper. I think it's a big improvement this year, and the goals against is a lot lower. They had one really tough outing against Lane a week and a half ago. And other than that, they've done a very nice job of holding opponents to low scores. And they're just kind of waiting for the offense to catch up. And they've got a chance to really do something if the defense maintains.
Kosaka up that left-hand side giving chase. Cannot get there in time. And now we'll come back and try to be pesky as he is there to get the ball right back. Nice job of coming through and helping his midfielders.
Took a little shove there from Andy Toma, too, after the ball was gone.
Back to the Gunners again in their offense. Long throw in and knocked to the turf. No call. They do finally give an indication that it will go to the Gunners on a free kick. And this is the first real dangerous opportunity aside from the corner that ended up short. And we'll see what the Gunners can do in the set piece.
Good possessive work by the Gunners from that throw-in. Ended up earning this free kick. It's probably a good 30 yards from goal on the diagonal, but it's only 5 yards outside the 18. A great chance for a cross here.
And it is once again left short and low and into the Crossfire bench. Not quite. Good bit of defense work there to maintain possession.
Good shielding from Kevin Cook.
10 minutes gone by here at Issaquah High School. No score between the Crossfire and the Gunners in the Premier Development League, the Northwest Division. And the attack is on now. Dirksen comes in the near side and headed away. Dirksen will take it back. Now onto the far side, Aronimo. Leaves it off. On the far side it goes to Cook. And now a chance to counter. Trying the through ball, no. And coming up quickly, Keegan Rogers off his mark.
Good covering from Dodds as well.
And so far, after a little contact made, and I think it was completely unintentional.
I think it was a stray hand there. I think is that...
That's Ludwig's.
It is.
Ludwig's that might have caught a finger on the passing by of Kosaka.
As Kosaka came through, leapt up. I'm sorry, that's Urzua.
Yeah.
He leapt up to play the ball, and I think his hand just kind of got maybe into the eye or something. An unfortunate play, to say the least. The drop ball played sportingly back to Keegan Rogers now.
The unwritten rules of soccer. A lot of tip your hat.
There is.
And it is something that is pretty unique to the sport.
It's a difficult thing sometimes, though, because that's the expected outcome by everybody, but it's not in the laws, and it's not something that's easy to put into the laws of the game. And every once in a while, someone will do something to try and take advantage of it, and it's really ugly when it happens.
Heel flick in near the 18 to the deck. They say no. Play on, says referee Nathan Max. Much to the dismay of the Gunner faithful, but I think it was the right call.
I think he lost his own balance, did Dan Smith.
Giving chase is Dirksen here on this left-hand side. He's been a presence.
Good effort there from him, but Philip Piper, a very nice defensive play to put it off Justice Dirksen and earn a goal kick.
And unlike Thursday night, the Gunners find themselves in the envious position through 15 minutes of play here, or close, that largely have found themselves in the attacking half.
You know, the word that I'd use so far is initiative. I think Puget Sound has done a nice job of taking the style of play that they want into Washington's half of the field and not just sitting back and letting the game come to them. So that's a good thing. It's the kind of pressure that you need to see that's eventually going to lead to scoring chances and hopefully more.
Ballou trying to find the running Kosaka. A little long, a little strong, and Viston will bring it in and start the counter, although played that one poorly and played it very short. There's a two-footed dive. That will call a yellow card, I would imagine. There, we'll see what Nathan Max has to say, and there is the caution. Two boots come straight up, and you know what you're going to find.
That's a pretty straightforward yellow card to Nick James, the University of Washington man. I have the 13th minute, and that's... I don't know. I don't suppose you'd call it a garden variety yellow card, but it's an easy decision, certainly, for Nathan Max.
And now the explanation is made, getting a bit of dissent as they talk things over about why James went into the book there.
It's a very similar sort of challenge to the one that saw John Kennedy Hurtado get his second yellow card over the weekend.
That was in the MLS, the Chicago Fire. And a very contested, I'm not saying contested in that they were, either one of the coaches was misunderstanding what had happened there, but contested in a lot of physical play. Nothing came easy for either squad, and of course when you end up with 10 on a side to finish a match, you know some things have happened.
They have, and all of those decisions were pretty easy. I think the Hurtado challenge could have been a straight red if he wasn't already on a caution. Obviously, Obafemi Martins needs to keep his head better than he did, and the Sounders, I think, a little relieved to come away with what they did on Saturday night.
Andy Toma keeps possession up the left-hand side and off past the far touch. I think it will be a goal kick. Did go past the line. And
working all the way over from that left center midfield area. That's very, very nice work by Eric Urzua to get back and earn the goal kick there on what could have been a very dangerous moment.
Toma able to kind of split defenders and find himself open for a moment. He looked to his right to find some help from a mate, and it did not come.
I correct myself, that was Josh Miller. I'm sorry.
I think once he took that look, it was over.
And he did. He hesitated a little bit, and that gave Miller the time he needed to get across. He was another 3 or 4 steps behind. But I will say that the hesitation was probably necessary. He didn't have something to do with it at exactly that moment. He'd gotten himself kind of pinned down in the corner there.
Yeah, defensemen now rally for the Gunners, and it will be, I can't tell if it was a foul or...
I think a free kick has been given.
I think it has been also, or if it went off past the touchline. It will be a free kick. So now a chance to start things with numbers. And they'll do it along the left-hand side. Into the area it comes. There's the cross. A header, no, knocked away expertly. That was a challenge by Miller that knocked it clear. Excellent job of marking the man in a dangerous spot.
Great diving header as well. Very good technical play as well as a tactical.
Another cross and marked man for man. The Gunners defense does its job, and the threat will erode.
The marking's really tight in the last few minutes. I'm very impressed with what the Gunners back four are doing. And it's a difference from the Kitsap game, and I think in addition to what the Gunners are doing, I think part of it is that this side for Washington just does not have the size and the speed that Kitsap brought out here last Thursday night.
Yeah, and they brought size, and with it,
did they ever.
Boy, they brought some tenacity alongside. Now a chance if you can get it skipped through, the through ball not quite making it. And now we'll see what Crossfire can bring. Beautiful evening. Calm finally as Keenan Rogers, there's a skip pass over the top of Rogers. Got away with one there.
Turning to flick it over the top was Philip Piper, and very lucky Keenan Rogers, but also at the same time, good positioning to force. I'm sorry, I have the name wrong again. This is a name. I'm sorry, this is Matt Poplawski, 28. I thought it was 8, but a skillful play, but good work by Rogers to position himself well so that when the ball did go over the top, it could be sent away by Dirksen.
Affectionately named Pops.
Yes, indeed.
By his teammate, Matthew Poplawski. And chews up a lot of minutes in that forward spot for the Crossfire between him and Christian Roldan, the two strikers on this team. They have 9 points between them on 4 goals and 1 assist. And average 445, or not average, but have a total of 445 minutes between them. So they're workhorses for a forward. That's a striker that likes to stay on the field, and I don't know what athlete at this level doesn't want to play the game.
Well, that's exactly why you're out here. This is a development league. The guys are here to be coached, to be seen, to get a taste of an almost pro atmosphere here, and you don't want to come to a setting like this and sit on the bench.
There's a low strike into the area, denied. Dirksen will recover, takes that left foot, now crosses over. Has a heel drop into the area again.
Dirksen thought he got held there, and he might have had a case.
And now Kosaka continues the push.
That was a very nice sustained attack, and it was started by The throw-in of Cook, we've talked about that on more than one occasion. It came all the way into the area, and then Cook with a rocket shot, then Dirksen with the attempt around. Good pressure from the Gunners.
And now we've got some physical play just inside the 6 and taken in a little dangerously by Tyler Viston. Got a big paw, that right paw up on it. Had to get his body around a Gunner.
A little tough to see there, but right on the goal line, Adon Martinez had wrapped up Marshall Kosaka completely. 2 arms around him. Referee didn't have a chance to see it. Too many players in the way.
And they were fighting good and hard prior to that.
They were.
As a potential handball. Now we get a little rough. And sending it in. Trying to get Kosaka once again loose. And that one almost an open net. As Viston can't put a paw on it. Came out a little too early.
Kosaka did a nice job to chase that one down and get ahead on it. Viston, very good reflexes to palm that one away, but you got to categorize that as a lucky save for the Crossfire goalkeeper.
And the defense a bit amiss now. Don't really know. They're a little discombobulated are the Crossfire defense. And well, as we praised them earlier for their form and shape, a little amoebic that time.
Indeed, and very good pressure from the Gunners. You need to see this continue. This is the kind of thing where you can wear down an opponent and earn chances. The Gunners are not the kind of explosive team that are going to just create chances from nothing the way we saw Kitsap do last week. Their success has got to come through sustained pressure and earning the chances by wearing their opponents down in the defensive third.
And so far through the first 20 minutes, that's exactly what we've seen, Nathan Murphy. We'll see if they have the stamina to keep it up. That perhaps a little bit in question against the very strong physical play of the league leading or the division leading Pumas on Thursday's match.
That was a little bit interesting when we talked about that. Both teams seemed winded maybe earlier than we would have expected. The last 15 minutes of that game, both sides were moving very slowly.
Especially for a 1-0 outcome.
Yes, indeed.
At the time, boy, you think you push everybody forward. Now speed will come in to play. And talking to general manager Alex Silva, again, one of the things that he stressed was the positive nature of the speed that this Gunner team possesses as a team.
A little bit optimistic there, thinking that Baloo could catch up with that one, but you really like the idea. Trying to be opportunistic and keep that pressure on. Nicely done.
Gunners remain on the attacking half now. A lot of tenacity, consistency, and of course some errors so far we've seen by the Crossfire in their
more good pressure.
Midfield.
Daniel Smith now along with Kosaka and down in that corner there. We didn't see this kind of tenacity from the Gunners in the last match. And I said the word initiative earlier, and I think that's very applicable here. They're doing a nice job of really setting the pace of this game, setting the feel of this game.
18, here's an opportunity. A little flick of the heel clears the ball. And now offered up. Here's Dirksen. Dirksen looking for an opening. The cross comes in, headed away. And now 2-on-2 will go back to the keeper, Rogers.
Nicely done by Josh Miller to give Rogers the chance to pick that one up.
And the applause from the Gunners fans here in the stands tonight. They recognize what kind of play that was.
Joshua Miller, the Princeton man, very active early on tonight. We mentioned the diving header to clear ball out of danger from the penalty spot about 10 minutes ago, and a nice play in the corner before that.
Zach Hammond, the attacking midfielder, the center mid, got himself forward there. Looked like an opportunity for the Gunners. And now if onside, and he is not.
Just a step
Just
too far.
Perhaps a step. Well timed.
Those are all about timing.
Both on the through ball and on the attack, on the run in.
And more to the point in this case, well timed by the defense stepping up at the last second there.
Zach Hammond had a run. And now the Crossfire will
cross the field.
Morph from defense into offense. Continued pressure by Gunner defenders in the midfield, and it all really has been done in the mid. defense, except that one little flurry of activity about the 12th to 15th minute.
There were a few opportunities there for the Crossfire, but the Gunners have done a nice job of keeping the danger away from their back four, and that's allowed them to continue to put on the pressure. That's what they've got to keep doing.
And how different do teams play when those four in the back, the brothers in arms back there in defense, can be on their toes and not their heels?
As a guy who spent a lot of time in the midfield when I was playing, there's nothing quite like feeling that you can just forget about back there. And I don't mean literally, but you don't have to think about it. If those guys are doing their job so well that you don't worry about it, that lets you turn your opportunities and turn your attention to trying to create things in the attacking third. And it's a very freeing feeling for an attacking player.
Good move in midfield. Daniel Smith will keep possession there, taken away on a bad touch. And now a lot of hands and a lot of pressure being applied on that left-hand side. That could have gone either way, and a referee, Nathan Max, will give a verbal warning to both players.
He saw it. He's going to allow them to continue. I don't think anybody gained an advantage out of that. But it's difficult as a referee because those things, when there's no advantage, can later escalate into something that's so physical you can't ignore it. So he's got to be careful.
Second corner kick of the ball game. First for the Crossfire. Here it is, the service in the area. A long header. Rogers punches it away. Open net. The strike. No. Taken clear. And sometimes it just happened to be in the right place at the right time. That was Michael Dodds that time.
Well blocked away, absolutely.
And now Smith will throw in, and it's a long high looking for the header. It catches a Gunner's head once again, taking the opportunity to clear. And the first, actually second, chance at an attack now. Keegan Rogers got off his mark there on that near post.
Christian rolled on, almost managed to play through three men there. That was a very skillful move. And just a little bit of physical play from the Gunners' defense to alleviate that danger. Not enough to draw the attention of Nathan Max, and that's exactly where you want it.
And now urging his team forward. Jimmy Ball wants to see a run on, and here it comes. And that should be a corner kick. They knew goal kick. Pardon me.
Difficult for us to see from up here. I was hopeful, but both men got a touch on it. It's just which one got it last.
Yep. Yep, made the call before I completely saw what had happened down there, but it rattled around a little bit.
It did.
Through the midfield, back to the Gunners.
Nicely taken away.
Here's Urzua. He'll take it straight up. There's a right foot. No.
That's hopeful at best from that distance.
30 yards on a low strike. Thought he had enough daylight. Had two on the left, one on the right, so plenty of attack coming. Is that a chance where you need to be a little more patient, or
it's difficult?
You're trying for a rebound there?
It's difficult to find the balance there because sometimes those shots can surprise people and, as you say, earn a rebound or even find the back of the net. But you can't use them too often because if the goalkeeper is ready for them, they're not particularly challenging to handle. So you want to use them sparingly, try to maximize the surprise value, and that didn't seem to surprise anybody, unfortunately.
28th minute. Here at Issaquah High School, no score between the Washington Crossfire and the Puget Sound Gunners FC. Keith Neely and Nathan Murphy with you. And another home game, back-to-back home games for this Gunners side. Lost to Pumas in a very exciting 1-0 match to the top of the table. Are the Pumas only 5 days ago. Now into the area, no one running and not onside. That time was Zachary Hammond. Had to take a bit of a break there to time his run on, and by the time he had stepped back, there was no chance at offense.
I don't think Ballou realized he was off.
$17 minutes to play now in the first half of the 45. Possession has been namely that of the Gunners after a couple of flurries of activity on the Washington Crossfire 18 right in the area where they have really dominated the chances. They have not dominated the possession, the Crossfire.
I would say that's accurate. They've probably had more than their share of the actual chances on goal, a couple of dangerous moments. I'm trying to think. I can only remember the one shot for either team, and that was the one from distance here just a moment ago. But, yeah, I'd say that the majority of the chances belong to the Crossfire so far.
Anytime you're anxious in the 18, I'd say you're putting some pressure on. That's what the Crossfire have done in their 2 little runs.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful chance. Now Ballou with a left foot through 3 men.
It's a beautiful run coming up from his left back spot by Justice Dirksen. He stepped around one, threw another, and the third one just got in the way. Good run.
Dirksen, our newcomer of the year on this Gunner squad last season. Certainly showing why he's so valuable.
That was a nice cross just over the top of Brady Ballou.
And now the drums have come out by the Gunners faithful, something we have not seen in years past, and exciting to be in an atmosphere where the teams can bring that kind of energy from their fans.
That just makes it fun, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And although the temperature is probably 20 degrees cooler than it was on Thursday, we still have a good outpouring of fans here in the bleachers at Issaquah.
That's a great turnout for a school night game, as you said, and certainly some noise here in the crowd. It's a lot of fun.
Play on, Kusaka now with it. Into the area, her right foot wide.
That shot missed, honestly, it missed far enough away. I wonder if that took a touch off of Jeremy Carlson.
I absolutely think it was a carom.
Goal kick given by the referee, but I think that one took a touch.
And in the counterattack, it will go off the end line back to the Gunners.
Keegan Rogers alertly over in case that ball didn't carry out of play, but it did, and he'll take the goal kick. I'll take the chance to remind everybody that they should visit the USL Pro and the PDL fan pages on Facebook. That's facebook.com/USL PDL. Make sure and give them a like, and also the Puget Sound Gunners own page. That's Puget Sound Gunners FC.
2 good ways to get all the information you need on not only the PDL, but stats, scores, players,
highlights,
everything that you need.
Get your Keith Neely fix.
That's right. We'll have to get back out the picks here. We did that a lot last year. We'll revisit that again. What a fun way to get to know some of these kids.
Absolutely.
Get Nathan Murphy and Keith Neely in there, kind of what we think, what we like to see, some of the fun moments, some of the fun players.
Oh yeah, these are a great bunch. You can see watching them play that they're here and they're having a good time. It's always tough when you lose, but just watching the way they've rebounded. It's only 5 days ago that Pumas match happened that could have been very demoralizing. This side does not look like a demoralized club.
Not at all. And I watched these teams, both of these teams, warm up from the onset, from the time they stepped out of the vehicles in the parking lot here at Issaquah High School. They both had some different demeanors. It was early on. It looked like the Crossfire had all the energy in the world, but by the time the warm-ups were done, I can honestly say that had flipped 180 degrees, where there was a lot of light feet with the men in the blue kits.
Well, there is such a thing as overwarming, I suppose, but I've just been really impressed by the Gunners' initiative and effort so far in the first half an hour, and I'd love to see it continue because I think it's going to pay off if they can keep it going.
I think the energy is directly translated into this first half, where we have 13 minutes remaining here of the 45. No score. Crossfire and the Gunners here in game number 6 for the Gunners. Game number 7 of 14, the midway point for the Crossfire. Actually, it is the game number 6 for the Crossfire. Also, my mistake. So 1 game to go for each team here before we hit the halfway mark. And vaulting through the table is what has to be on the docket, and the marks on the locker room on the chalkboard for both of these teams.
As we said at the Open, this is a critical juncture, this game in the next couple of weeks for both of these sides. The Gunners have a great chance with the swing up through Canada next week. You get points here, you get points in those 2 matches, and things look a lot different very quickly.
How tough is it to make that trip as a strike with their left foot just over the bar. That's a tough angle to take.
It is.
But it was a good shot.
It's certainly a firm one. It got the attention of goalkeeper Tyler Viston, and that's what you have to do. You make your goalkeepers think. You make them try and make plays, even if the ball's not on frame, and you're gonna earn yourself some openings later on down the road.
We've talked a lot about the defense. We've talked a lot about the opportunities that the Gunners have had, but the midfield is doing an exquisite job.
They've worked really hard so far today, and you can see that in how few chances the Crossfire have had that have gotten past maybe 10 or 15 yards into the Gunners' half of the field, as of course they do one right now. But the midfield have done a great job of not allowing a lot of these runs.
Forward ball just before the cross is taken out off the far touch.
Matt Aronimo thought he got bumped a little bit there after the ball was gone.
However, comes back in and is still fighting. Aronimo, the defender on that far side. He's over there with Kevin Cook. And now the cross is in, header away. Cleared nicely by Smith. And finally swept clean by Keegan Rogers.
Good defensive sequence. I know that there was pressure there, but the way that the Gunners shaped themselves around that attack out on the left flank, there weren't a lot of openings, and they forced kind of a hopeful cross that got cleared away.
And you get the sense, though, the Crossfire have gone beyond probing, to use your word earlier, and are now have developed some strategy into cracking this nut.
They certainly seem to think that left side is where they need to go, and they've pushed hard over there. Kevin Cook and Matt Aronimo have done a nice job. Eric Urzua working back from his midfield slot. But that's where the Crossfire seem to think their chances are, or, suppose it's possible that that's just where they've developed, but it seems to be deliberate.
Dodds now trying to get past this midfield where things have gotten a bit sticky after we talked about it.
Turned around nicely by Nick James, but he can't keep possession.
Quick throw in, trying to get an advantage on some surprise, perhaps.
I think Brady Ballou thought that Hammond was going a different direction there.
Hammond definitely had a run. He was onside and he had started his move down that right-hand side in the attack. Ballou went a different direction.
Yeah. Ballou, when you're trying to play the ball with your back to the attack, sometimes it can be difficult, and the foul given here.
Kosaka to the deck.
Right on the midfield stripe.
Wind picking up just a little bit. Certainly nothing that would affect any play. Held up in the 18, trying to clear.
A lot of attention physically given to Brady Ballou the last couple times he's been in the penalty area.
Dirksen back out to Smith. And finally knocked into the back. Now running up the left-hand side, trying to find Kosaka, headed away. And the Gunners will throw in. Into the 18. Back out to Kosaka, trying to find two. He's got two in the air. A beautiful cross with his feet. And now just a little half-hearted punch trying to find Zach Hammond, who was just about toes on the 6.
I think Dan Smith was trying to pass that ball until the very last second, realized it wasn't there and redirected it, but he didn't have enough behind that. Still, another nice attack. You need to see this continue.
Zach Hammond has been in the area in dangerous spots. It's only a matter of time.
He's been pushed further up than he has in the last few games, and I think it's working nicely. I think he's using his size very effectively, and that's something that would not have worked necessarily against Kitsap. He wouldn't, even the tall guy, Hammond, wouldn't have been able to work well against that back four.
Toma makes a run and is taken away with a slide tackle.
But it's been a very effective tactic so far against this very skilled but slightly smaller Washington Crossfire back line.
Toma now will take it out, and they are once again going up that left-hand flank. Long throw in, and beating the header is Keegan Rogers.
That's an athletic play to get to that ball.
Through ball up the left side does not go through. Asking very loudly for the ball to get things started is Kosaka.
One thing I love about the physical stadium setup here is that the shell of the roof really seems to take the sound from the field and point it at us. So we hear a lot more of the stuff off of the field than we did at some of the other sites we've been at.
Directed away by Miller, but not before we've got some contact.
Now Miller came through Toma pretty hard there. The crowd didn't like the call. I can't argue with it.
Pardon me. Toma up. Shaking a bit, but will go take his spot there again on that strong side of the Crossfire, that left-hand side. And we'll see if they'd go to that far post on this service. They do, and it's knocked away clear, although the ball's still dangerous in the air.
And the big guy, Jeremy Carlson, challenging for that. He's a large target up there.
They've got a couple of large targets. They're not listed by height in the rosters that we were given, although Carlson in the defense back there who just now takes that header that is Philip Piper, but both Piper and Carlson have got to be encroaching 6 foot or better.
Nick James, a big guy as well.
Now a quick run by Roldan. And that will go to a goal kick off the shielding on the run in.
Well done again by Matthew Aronimo. The composure of the back four for the Gunners is just such a refreshing thing. It's a lot of fun to watch.
They just don't seem anxious this game.
No.
Well, that was kind of the cry that we had out of that.
Well,
Not Civ-like, but they're certainly, because they did not give up many goals, but they just seemed like they were constantly under pressure.
The defending last week was frantic, and to a certain sense it had to be, because that's the kind of pressure that Kitsap was putting on. And the defenders did an excellent job with the hand that they were dealt, both by the circumstances and by the inability to hold the ball in the midfield. But this week,
Here's a run onside, knocked away on the shot. It was Kosaka who got in it and put a beating on the ball, and Viston was right there, right at his feet.
Kosaka was trying to put the ball under Viston as Viston was trying to come out and fly out and get down. Viston did a nice job of getting low enough to get something on that and deflect it away. An excellent chance, probably the best of the game for either side, and brilliant goalkeeping by Tyler Viston.
Kosaka and Viston both looked like they were spooked by the other in a dark alley. They both turned around and saw one another. And for a moment there, it was probably longer for them than it was for us. A little mini stare down before the shot was taken.
The ball just kind of fell to Kosaka. It wasn't a pass. It took a deflection and landed just right at his feet. And he took 2 touches around and had all kinds of open space. He did well with it. It was just a perfect save by the goalkeeper.
Gunners doing a nice job of spreading it around the pitch. Attacking left, now we'll go right to the midfield as Smith gets into a double team and it falls off his feet.
Piper and Carlson miscommunicated there. I'm not sure which was which, but one of them sent it off the other's back, and a very alert Tyler Viston had to play that. It would have been a corner kick at least, and it was heading near the post. It might have hit the post and settled for a rebound that could have been played. It's an alert play by the Crossfire goalkeeper once again. He's keeping his club level right now.
And settling, perhaps, is the attack that time of the Crossfire. Only got 20 yards deep, and the ball a slow roller. And nobody wanted to make a move on it. And Rogers just walks over to the end line and asks for the ball.
That's that simple.
And that allows the Gunners to get back into their attacking formation.
Poplawski came flying through there, and nobody was there. It's one of those things where if he's a little unlucky and misjudges his run, he could plow someone over. Guys get sent off for things like that. I think he's got to be careful if he's going to come through that high with his arm extended like that.
A little more contact. This time goes off the far touch back to the Gunners.
As Kevin Cook gathers, we'll remind everybody as we approach halftime, under 3 minutes to go, we're not able to keep our audio on during halftime for fear of running afoul of YouTube's rules as regards music and ask. And a whistle.
And now we have a whistle and a card as Keegan Rogers comes out of his area to knock to the ground.
The yellow card.
I believe that is
Number 1.
Poplawski.
That's who I think it is as well, and a very dangerous run. This is a play where I don't think Keegan Rogers was trying to get to the man. He played the ball. He went after the ball, got up, punched it away very well. Or headed it away, rather. He was outside of his area. But the collision is something that, because of the tactical nature, because of the positional nature, I think the whistle has to come. And hopefully Poplawski will be okay. He looks to be limping a little bit here.
And perhaps the danger, not so much that last run in by Pops, but where the mark is on this free kick.
It's a dangerous spot to be certain. And the wall's going to be pushed all the way behind the penalty spot, as you can see the free kick inside the arc there by about a yard. So it's a dangerous spot as we play under 2 minutes remaining in the first half.
Crossfire with 2 men on the far post, 2 on the near post, 1 dead center behind a 6-man wall. Rogers straight away. Here comes the service, and it is just wide left. Got beyond the wall, and if that had curved any more in, Rogers would have had to come out of his shoes to make the save.
Give Keegan Rogers a lot of credit, though. He responded perfectly to that. Difficult to see from this angle, but I think he had his post covered.
Especially behind a 6-man wall.
Yes.
Regulation time in the first half. The referee will keep account of any stoppage times we play.
Into the final minute of regular play here. Stoppage time to ensue. Kept on the field by referee Nathan Max.
2 cautions in the first half, probably all that will be noted. One of each side. The one to Rogers just now, and Nick James back in the 13th minute.
Quick throw in, perhaps one solid opportunity now at getting an offensive strike together for each squad under a minute. And it'll be the Crossfire with the numbers. Here they come through midfield into the attacking third. Poplawski onside, asking for the ball with a high hand. It will not come. Here comes the counterattack by the Gunners. Taken away.
Just a little bit too far for for Zach Hammond to get to. That's a nice idea to curve that early ball in.
And now a strike in about the top of the area. It was Poplawski off the mark to the left, and now off to the mark. They'll give it right back to the Crossfire. Slapping his hands in disgust is Keegan Rogers, not happy with that decision at all.
Yeah, it was behind Dirksen there, and I think Dirksen just went a different way from what Rogers expected. Unfortunate, those things do happen.
Now into the dangerous area. Poplawski once again has 1 man he has to get by, and finally Rogers realizes he better get the job done himself.
Keegan Rogers very active and very precise in the last few minutes.
And after not being tested for about 40 minutes of play, these last 5 minutes have been a struggle.
It's tough sometimes as a goalkeeper, and the halftime whistle comes, and we'll quickly remind you that as they start playing music here, we're going to have to cut the audio to avoid any problems with YouTube and ASCAP regulations. But thanks everybody for joining us. I'd like to remind you that Gunners FC Soccer is presented by Swedish of Issaquah and also sponsored by ProLiance Surgeons and ProLiance Orthopedic and Sports Medicine, and also by My Spine Sports Chiropractic.
We'll take our pause here at the halftime break. No score between the Crossfire and the Gunners, and we'll be back Welcome back. We're about to start the second half here on the Gunners FC broadcast. Keith Neely and Nathan Murphy. No score here at Issaquah High School between the Puget Sound Gunners and the Washington Crossfire, who are the visitors in the white kits today. The Gunners, of course, wearing the blue kits. I'd like to welcome you back to the broadcast to Puget Sound Gunners FC Soccer. It's presented by Swedish Issaquah. Also sponsored by Pro-Liance Surgeons and Pro-Liance Orthopedic and Sports Medicine, and by My Spine Sports Chiropractic. And so far, a very defensive-minded outing. And Nathan, I would ask the question, is it lack of offense or just really steady defense by both these sides?
Well, nobody's shown a lot of finishing touch in the early going here. I guess the entire first half doesn't qualify as the early going, but both teams had chances. And I'd give a lot of credit to the back four on both sides, who absolutely did their job perfectly. And both goalkeepers played really well. We mentioned Tyler Viston with just a great reflex save on the opportunity that belonged to Marshall Kosaka. We also talked about how Keegan Rogers was just really sharp, especially in those last 10 minutes or so. Not direct shots on goal necessarily, but just dangerous moments. And Keegan stepped up, so both goalkeepers have played well. The back fours have played well, but neither side has shown a lot of finishing flair. So if this game has a score, if this doesn't finish in a scoreless draw, I think the determining factor will be either defensive mistake or somebody who just steps up with a finishing skill that we haven't seen yet.
And the statistics would back that analysis. Not a lot besides fouls that have been lopsided. The Gunners, with a little more aggressiveness, 9 fouls to 3 of the visiting Crossfire. And aside from that, a couple of corner kicks for the Gunners, one for the Crossfire, and 5 shots to 3 Gunners to Crossfire. So nothing really stands out as being either a red flag in something that either one of these head coaches, Jimmy Ball or Billy Wiskel, will really have to address. But at the same time, you're scoreless.
You are, and I think the big stat that doesn't get kept at this level because it's too much to do with the volunteer personnel in the booth, I think possession is the stat that would maybe be the most telling, or passes completed. The Gunners did a really nice job of pressing the attack through the first half. We mentioned they weren't able to finish, but the pressure is really important because not only does it set the tone for your guys that we're going to control this match, but it also wears a defense down, wears a goalkeeper down, and creates a little, wow.
There's a large strike off the foot of Christian Roldan. He's had a couple. That one from distance, and it goes over the bar.
We talk about creating chinks in the armor, and it's exactly things like that shot from Christian Roldan, the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, that can create those kinds of opportunities. You get in a goalkeeper's head by putting a lot of pressure. You make defenses make choices that can maybe change their positioning later on. So the Gunners need to sustain the pressure and hope to find a slot, a way to get through and get another chance. Kosaka had the best one. He was straight in on goal, and a beautiful save by the goalkeeper Viston. The Gunners just have to do that again, and one of them's going to find the net.
There they come up the left-hand side. Certainly the athletes with the credentials to put it into the back of the net. There's a header misdirected and saved by Viston. And the attack is still on for the Gunners. They'll regroup, but wow, right inside the area, one touch right into the hands of Tyler Viston. And now expedie is Andy Toma. And that one is just cleared off the bottom of the bar. That hit wood and was cleared.
Off the line, I think that was Matthew Aronimo. Keegan Rogers got a piece. It caught the bar, and Matt Aronimo sends it off the line to keep this match level. That's a spectacular defensive play.
And just like that, where we're talking as we come out of the halftime break about lackluster offense, as soon as we get a tough clearance by Tyler Viston on one side for the defense of the Crossfire, on the counterattack, it comes right back, and we see more fireworks.
There's a lot to talk about from those 30 seconds. Give Tyler Viston a ton of credit. That ball changed directions just very slightly off the head of Dodds as this play is offside.
Offside and up over the top. Keegan Rogers got a big paw on it as Andy Toma with a beautiful service into the area as Poplawski was just a smidge offside.
Keegan Rogers not going to get credit for a save on that play, but that's one of his best reaction moments of the night to palm that one over the top. Going back to the previous play, the ball changed directions off the head of Zach Hammond just very slightly, and it's those balls that can really challenge goalkeepers because you're not moving completely, you're not changing direction, you just have to go maybe from weight on your left to weight on your right. He got his foot out, did Viston, just perfectly to kick that one away, didn't manage to use his hands. A great save.
Rolled on now with some trouble into Rogers. And it's cleared away.
And now Keegan Rogers gets a lot of credit for making a save with his leg. Both goalkeepers, brilliant work here in the first 5 minutes of the second half.
Boy, and those guys are going to have to take a deep breath, and I think you and I are also, the way this thing is developing.
Fast and furious out of the gate.
It's been fun coming out of this first half into the second here at Issaquah High School. Still no score after we've almost equaled the first half shots in the statistics. And another service into the area. It's long. It falls at the feet of the Gunners, and it will be, off the feet of the Crossfire. Toma was in on there.
That cross sailed a little bit. Andy Toma was in perfect position to deal with it. He got himself a little deep there, and he didn't have anywhere to go. He tried to chip it back, and he couldn't keep it on the right side of the goal line for the Crossfire.
And perhaps the slowest moment right now in the second half as Keegan Rogers takes it clear and sends it in the midfield. A couple of bodies onto the pitch.
Do have substitutions. We're not sure exactly who they are. We'll get those to you as we're able. In the PDL, they don't bring a sheet up to us, unfortunately, so we can't tell you exactly, but we'll try and alert you to the new faces as they become apparent.
And in the 18 that did not start the ball game for the Gunners, for the Crossfire, Ian Clark will be the extra keeper. Should Viston need a spell or for some horrible reason not be able to continue. And then you've got Ibra Drame, the midfielder, Julian White, William Tice, Liam Kelly, Nick Piacentini.
Offside again here.
And right referee at the keeper, and they got, the referee has not seen it. However, the assistant was right on and immediate with the flag.
Just stepping too far there. And it's difficult as a referee when you've got a play where you know it's close to the offside line and you're not sure. The toughest thing is to try and find that second to find your assistant referee and see, because in a sequence like that, you're going to have 2 or 3 touches on the ball, potential for physical confrontations in the penalty area, and you don't want to take your eyes away from that play. At the higher level, that's why those guys use the flags with the little buzz that the referee can, or the assistant referee can get to center attention, or even the headsets you'll see in the World Cup and the professional leagues. Of course, the World Cup beginning on Thursday. Big moment for football fans the world over.
Adon Martinez for the Crossfire makes an exit.
Liam Kelly will replace him. University of San Francisco, Don.
A long service to the far post, and the Crossfire will come up with it. Rounding out the 18 was Josh Green, the one Crossfire member I did not mention that is in the substitutions and on the bench for head coach Billy Wiskell tonight. And then for the Gunners, as this one sails
over the touchline.
Look like over the touchline, yes. So a long throw in, long ways to go for the Crossfire.
Chance to defend and maybe steal an opportunity here for the Gunners.
Jason Dodson, who started 3 games for the Gunners, is the backup keeper tonight. Max Smith and Justin Amundsen and Josemar Evangelista are the midfielders. On the bench, Bo Blanchard, Brian Brown, Bosto Ordenana. Also available for head coach Jimmy Ball.
Zach Hammond getting into, I wouldn't call it a confrontation, but at least a staring match with the right back, it looks like. I'm trying to get you a number. I think that might be Philip Piper as they were trying to walk the ball down toward the goal line. Piper shielding it, not very happy with it was Hammond.
More activity as Aronimo gets tied up in midfield. And here is Ludwigs, who is that tall redhead in the center field.
Nice idea there to switch fields, but it was just between a couple gunners. It couldn't quite get to Kosaka. It was too far for Smith. A little bit unfortunate because that's a great idea.
Now running into midfield quickly is Justin Smith, all the way from his defensive position, getting forward as fast as he can. He had Poplawski running on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side.
And instead Cook does well and not only plays the ball out of danger, but earns a throw in for his own side.
Now into the center, and now finally on the far side it goes.
Good use of space by the Gunners here.
And we'll see if they can collapse the defense. We weren't able to get it to Hammond, but still maintain possession. Now up the left-hand side and onside is Kosaka. Beats his man, has one in the area, waiting service on the far post. Now finally a little kick, a little flick with that left foot. Not enough on it.
A little frustrated over on the far side is Smith. He was open and wasn't seen. It's tough. Turning at that corner, you only have that split second to see what you have, and I'm not sure if Kosaka intended that as a shot because it went right through the legs of Hammond, who was standing there.
Hammond shielded the view from Viston for a moment, then finally had to let it fly.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, you've got the opportunity staring you on the far post with an open net on that side.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find them. You only have a few of those chances.
It's a difficult skill I think people don't realize. When you receive the ball and have to turn and find what to do with it, you have very little time in which to do that.
Through ball onside, and the timing is there, but then is the defender.
Nice job by Schmidt to come over to play that ball away from Hammond.
Now, neither team really able to get out of the goo of the midfield without any presence in the offense.
After that initial flurry, you're right, we've been largely bogged down in the central third of the field for both clubs.
Ludwigs to the right-hand side. Of course, it was the left-hand side that the Crossfire, you mentioned, seemed to favor, trying to find an avenue in the first half to switch directions completely. Do you think that's intentional?
It's hard to say. A physical play there. And now getting tugged down is Ballou. Do we have a whistle? We don't. Brady Ballou very upset with the referee. He thought he got pulled down by Green.
Quickly up. Play will continue. And right in the center of the action is referee Nathan Max. He's certainly athletic enough himself to be right in for good place to make those calls.
Absolutely. His positioning's been perfect.
And sometimes it's just the way the play goes. Of course, a Pac-12 and West Coast Conference referee. Rules are slightly different.
College rules are an interesting thing, and in soccer, high school as well, of course. Washington went away from the National Federation of High School Sports rules for this year, starting in the fall, and use now FIFA laws with some slight modifications.
Of course, the clock stops differently. You've got to keep different time on the field. Just one of the many changes between the collegiate book and the one here under the FIFA rules. Running quickly on up the left-hand side was Roldan. He's been dangerous, and he, I think, has a bit of a quickness, a speed advantage.
Roldan's a dangerous
There's
type
a
of player. That's
that
an
is
easy one
called.
on Kosaka. Roldan's a dangerous player because his speed is kind of deceptive. He doesn't display it in the runs up and down the field all the time, and then all of a sudden he's got possession of the ball and he's past you. It's a very disconcerting thing for a defender, and it can fool guys if they're not paying attention.
Very lateral. You notice that Roldan sets up in midfield, and then you blink, and he's on the wing.
Yes, indeed.
And now into the area to Crossfire. There's a left footer through the uprights of the football stadium.
And
once again, nicely set up in the offensive third by the Crossfire.
And by Roldan specifically, who came out of that central midfield spot and found himself on the right flank that time. He has been, as you said, all over the pitch. And that's part of what makes him so dangerous. I said his speed was deceptive, and he'll just pop up somewhere and do something dangerous with the football.
Now the Crossfire seem to have a bit of a possession advantage, and they're certainly getting quality chances that the Gunners are not having. The adjustments made, of course, in the locker room include the personnel, and Crossfire have made a couple substitutions to get fresh legs in. And now turning. And a service in the area is right in front of the keeper. And Rogers.
Keegan's decision-making has been very, very good tonight. When to come, when to stay. He's gotten to every ball he's gone for, and that's the important thing for a goalkeeper is don't come out if you're not going to get there. He's done very well at that.
Here are the Gunners. See what they can do with Daniel Smith. Right-hand side it goes. Service in the area is taken away. But at least their service. Gunners have been lacking in a few quality balls into the area, at least since the initial
just as you said,
2 or 3 minutes.
Crossfire have been in ascendancy. There's a nice little period of pressure there by the Gunners, but now they give up a counter opportunity.
And running quickly on and taken by Keegan. Had to come all the way out of the area, 2 or 3 yards past the box.
And a little bit unfortunate as Cook didn't see that one coming and knocked it out only about 6 or 7 yards above his own 18, where it was going to go out toward the midfield stripe. As Brady Ballou will depart, we'll tell you who's replacing him when we can see.
And as that substitution is made, we'd like to remind you that Nike is a proud sponsor of the W League, the women's league here of the USL Leagues. You can follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information. They also a proud sponsor of all things USL. We're glad to have them aboard. Thanks for watching Puget Sound Gunners FC. The soccer here on our YouTube channel. And checking in now is number 9 for the Puget Sound Gunners, and I do not have that on my roster, and nor did I hear the stadium announcer. And offsides on that run is Hammond. Cleared by the Gunners defense as we're trying to sort out the substitution. 29 minutes remaining in the final half hour here. Header into the area, taken in there and into the side netting, and Keegan Rogers would not have been able to recover fast enough to get back to that ball. An opportunity for the Crossfire missed there.
When it changes direction that quickly, guys get wrong-footed. And, I mean, there's nothing Keegan could have done about that. And he's very lucky to see that one go into the side netting instead of inside his near post.
You mentioned how impressive his reaction time was, the one he had to push up over the bar in the first minutes of the half. His reaction time on that first strike on the left-hand side was equally remarkable as a perfectly played through ball, no offside. Now Rogers is earning his keep in net.
He's playing exceptionally well in the last 15 minutes, and even before that, but in particular in this time, probably his best save is the one that doesn't go into the book because the ball was offside, but his reflexes have been excellent, and he's positioning himself very well. So he's keeping his club in this one, as are the back line. It's been a dangerous time for the Gunners, but they've got to try and find a chance and look for those 3 points. 3
points so important for each team here on the pitch today. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for or who you're playing for. You're, of course, after the 3 points, and it will vault you with a win into 5th place immediately and put you within a win of 2nd. Just like that.
Absolutely. It's huge with, as we said, both of these teams with games in hand on the leaders. You have to convert those into points in the standings, and that's what both of these sides are trying to do. I think either side would end up a little bit disappointed with just a draw here, and both of them are playing as though they want the win. You certainly don't see Washington sitting back and trying to take the draw on the road, And it's not like this was a particularly difficult drive for them, as they're closer, Keith, than we are.
At the midfield or midway mark, through 7 games, the Kitsap Pumas with 15 points probably control their own destiny at this point in time.
I'm not sure about the math on that, but it's certainly close.
It would be very close, within 2 points at least, 2 or 3. And then the rest of the clubs all the way down the list, the remaining 7, really have work to do. And if you do it well, you're going to be in contention of the playoffs. Of course, the top 3 teams in the Northwest Division, there's a strike into the area. I think that was a shot. It didn't look like it was intended to be a pass. And now the counter. Get past the big, tall defender in Piper.
Nicely turned.
Roger Carlson with the brightly colored boots, and there's a push to the deck and a verbal warning given, and nothing more.
Justin Schmidt, I think, a little lucky. That's a borderline tactical play. I'm not saying it should have been a caution, but it certainly would have been defendable if the referee had chosen to do that. And lucky is Schmidt to not go into the book.
And once again, the steadfast back line of the Washington Crossfire. I wouldn't have said that in the first half with all the pressure applied, but they've certainly risen to the moment here in the second.
As we tick toward 25 minutes remaining here, at some point you got to say, well, what we're trying isn't working. What else can we do? You have to try and make that tactical adjustment. I think that's a lot of the difference we've seen in the second half. The Crossfire have adjusted their tactics. They haven't focused as strongly on the left-hand flank here. They've used space a lot better. And the Gunners are trying to do a lot of the same things, and they worked in the first half. But the Crossfire figured out how to handle them.
Couple missed touches there. Give the ball right back to the Crossfire. Out on the left-hand side it goes. Toma has been instrumental. There's a long strike into the area and dangerous up over the top. 3 Crossfire members in front of their marks on the near post, and it goes up and over.
Mataronimo nicely done to get his head on that one and direct it to temporary safety anyway. It does surrender a corner kick, but sometimes that's how it goes when you're defending on the goal line.
Still no score. With 24 and change left on the clock here at Issaquah High School. The service on the corner kick goes through everybody, and how that did not hit a jersey on its way through about chest high is remarkable to me with everybody inside the 6.
I actually think it did take a touch because Keegan Rogers was going one direction and the ball went up and over him. I think that probably hit a Crossfire player on their way through at a glancing blow, not what they had intended. And it goes for a goal kick in the end. Little shove given there, right in the back of Dan Smith.
And once again, the Crossfire on the move as they've been the majority of this second half. Just really been exactly 180 degrees from what we witnessed in the first.
It has, and you have to give a lot of credit to head coach Billy Wiskell. He's pulled the right levers, pushed the right buttons, however you want to say it. The Crossfire in the ascendancy in the last 15 minutes.
Crossfire put 3 behind the ball. Now a little heel touch trying to get a man clear on that left-hand side. That's Hammond. And here comes the service. Now off the end line, looking for the corner now. Into the area, headed away. And anytime Gunner falls to the deck, you hear it from the crowd here.
Well, the referee agreed that one was a foul, signaled for the advantage. Would have been a free kick right outside the area. Instead, a throw-in opportunity, very deep. Justice Dirksen will come over and take it, and he's got the ability to put this one into the penalty area.
Smith on the near post. Kusaka came out of the area. Now they go back trying to find Daniel Smith. No. A great little 1-2 touches now. Short possession. There's an opportunity and offside. It would not have gone in anyway as Tyler Vistanen slowed the ball down enough and was able to retreat to get the ball covered up.
The first attempt there had been blocked off, and Hammond didn't have time to get back. It's always a heart-stopping moment. You see the ball squirt through, but the flag went up immediately, and that would not have counted, but threatening, dangerous moments finally for the Gunners here in the second half.
It's almost as if the Gunners have just been lurking in the weeds
Offside
for 20
flag
minutes.
is up again.
And now have come out to show their muster.
Well, all you had to say is that they were struggling and sitting back on their haunches in their defensive third, and up they come. But both teams are making the efforts here, and it's nice to see. It's entertaining soccer here in the second half. A little more open. Both teams made some runs, earned some opportunities. Both goalkeepers playing very, very well.
It's a great level of soccer. Absolutely. We talked to the referee, Nathan Max, prior to the ball game, and I asked him what his impressions were, both collegiately and at this level. He's done this for 3 years, and it had improved or changed, and he said it's very difficult to tell because his first league refereeing job up here in the Premier Development League, his first game was against 2 now MLS members, 3 MLS members, one of them on their way to Brazil. And you can't get much higher level than that.
As a referee, as a referee at the middle levels, these college levels, the high-level amateur here in the United States, to work with guys who play in the pros, to work with guys who are going to play in a FIFA event, it's a really great moment.
Now here comes a shot, an opportunity wide of the post, had a man running. That will be a sigh of relief for Keegan Rogers.
Kelly did a very nice job there to turn on Matt Aronimo. I think he was trying to put that on goal, and instead he kind of lashed it back through the area right across the 6. And, boy, 2 or 3 white shirts just a step shy of getting a stab on that.
Running in on that far post was Andy Toma, and he has been everywhere.
All
just
over the
about
place.
2 steps shy of plastering a left foot past the keeper. 2 opportunities gone by, and by the time the ball goes wide, the Crossfire will recover, and here comes the throw-in. Headed away, and then cleared.
Another Gunners substitution during that break, and unfortunately,
leaving the game, number 8.
it seems that the jerseys that we were given don't match the ones they're actually wearing, so it's a little difficult for us up here, but number 14 is the replacement. We'll keep track of that in any case.
And I have 14 on my old roster as Stephen Wright, but I believe Stephen is one of those UW players that is taking finals and not on the roster today. So
whoever's wearing 14 right now, I can guarantee you that's not Stephen Wright. It's got about a foot on this guy.
So the jerseys have been washed, cleaned, and
this is Ordonana, I'm told. This is Fausto Ordonana. All right.
so Fausto into the ball game. And more fresh legs for the Gunners. As Rogers comes in just about the 18 mark.
Does a nice job of stopping himself there. And I don't know if you could hear it on the air. We could hear Keegan's voice all the way up here calling for that ball. We've talked about the communication between goalkeeper and back line. It's been very good here tonight.
I've done 2 games in the broadcast booth. Nathan, you've done 4. And the back line has changed so slightly as there's a push over the bar on the far post.
It hasn't been the same the whole time, but there's a couple guys that have been there consistently. Kevin Cooks played 3 of those games. In the middle, Aronimo has played all 4 of the games. Dirksen on the left wing's played all 4 games. Dodds has played all 4 games. So it's nice to see for us to have some stability back there. I'm sure it's nice for those guys as well to get used to their partners, and for the goalkeepers to get used to the guys that they're working with as well. When I say all 4, I mean the ones that we've broadcast. I don't have on my sheet who played down in Oregon a couple of weeks ago.
Ordonana on that right-hand side. Shows why he has come in about 70 minutes into this ball game. Rushing up that left-hand side,
Looking
or that
for
right-hand
some spark.
side, trying to find somebody with the energy to get the push into the defense and make something happen. And really, at this point in time, you look for somebody who can make something happen. A finisher would be great.
You got to find a spark. It's got to start somewhere.
Come through some possession in the midfield. A brilliant counter out of the defense. Of course, just a mistake by a defender or a keeper could change the tide in this one quickly as a corner kick is awarded.
Very, very upset, the Puget Sound defenders right now. They actually allowed that ball to go out, thinking that was going to be a goal kick, and the assistant referee, the senior assistant, Vernon Winters over there, emphatically pointing at the corner flag, and picking the ball up and tossing it away frustratedly was Kevin Cook.
Dirksen also very unhappy, had a word on his way back in retreat. The service in the area and missed everybody long. However, still on pace is Toma. Chances abound. Still containing possession. Here's the cross on the far post. No, it'll be knocked away. Another corner kick for the Crossfire.
Dangerous again in the area. We've talked about Christian Roldan many times in this half. That's the third one, I think.
Third corner kick, unless we're missing one for the Crossfire. 2 of which have come here in the half. 16 minutes on the clock. Still no score. We're a 0-0 affair here at Issaquah High School, and into the feet of the on-rusher.
Nick James is a little unhappy with himself there. He thinks maybe he should have let that one go through or directed it on frame. In any case, a chance for the Gunners to move the other way this time.
And that was James who had timed that well, unmarked largely, as the two now will collide, and they have been shoving one another in midfield for the better part of 10 minutes.
The physical play has been slowly building in this game to the point where guys are really getting into each other with the body. There's not a lot of arms and elbows, but hard physical collisions here in the last few minutes, particularly, as you mentioned, between James and Ordonana, James and Cook.
Toma there winning that duel, and Nathan Max comes in just as you mentioned that and settles everybody down. The referee.
Take a breath, fellas.
And now low service is headed away. Ronimo comes right out.
Nathan Max had to duck that one.
And a handball should go back to the Gunners. They say it was a handball on the Gunners. It hit 2 or 3 different players about chest high.
It looked like the Gunners
that got Hammond
trying to keep his balance and got his hand out, went right into it. Nothing much you can do there. A little bit lucky not to end up with a caution out of that play because it looked kind of deliberate. I don't think it was, but you've got to be careful of those things.
Lights are on. Timely this time.
They've been on for a little bit. We appreciate that, keeping our camera seeing things nicely.
Headed away, 14 minutes to play in the ball game here between the Crossfire and the Gunners. Still no score. And now an opportunity on the counter. He has a man on the right-hand side. They'll play it through. Missed there. And offside. And now you have a bench over on the Gunners side in dismay, holding their hands in head and arms up high. An opportunity missed, or they didn't like the offside?
It's difficult to say. The key question there is whether the ball was played or deflected on Jeremy Carlson. I think it did touch him. Whether he played it deliberately is the key decision there. If he plays it deliberately, then offside resets, and free to chase that ball down is Hammond. If he doesn't, if it just takes a deflection on him, then it's still the ball played through by Kosaka. So that's the key decision there. Clearly in the mind of the assistant referee, that ball was deflected and not played deliberately. And I think that's what the Gunners bench is upset about.
Should free play continue, Tyler Viston was in an excellent spot and on mark. Even should Hammond recover that ball. So it would have been entertaining as an end result no matter. And the Gunners will try once again. Far side is Cook. On the near side, rather. And Urzua through the middle. Now they'll play it back. And here they come on the right-hand side. It goes to Cook.
Nice work to recover and get that one.
Centers it. And now a lot of communication verbally. A strike with the right foot, deflected. Blocked, and here it comes into a Crossfire counterattack. It's still on the move.
That one was played with the hand, I thought, by Michael Dodds.
Urzua playing sideline to sideline. Kosaka absent from the attacking third that time. This time we'll play it through. And that time, Cook could not keep up with the pass.
Just a little bit too far for him. Hopeful, but I like the chances that the Gunners are taking here. They're not settling for the point, which is what you want to see. You got to push forward, take a few risks, and try and earn all three.
Kosaka on the far side, a little bit disappointed by the way that played out. Felt he was an excellent opportunity to be the guy to finish. And misplayed there, a bad touch by the Crossfire. An opportunity. We'll see what the Gunners can do with it. Heel kick. Still onside. Now into the center of the area, trying to play through. No.
Nice idea by Kosaka, but Urzua had cut the run off just a couple of steps before. A little bit casual there by Cook.
Defended away, and now the counter, a shot.
Well over the bar, taken by Kelly, who came on just into the second half. Every time the Crossfire come down on a counter, I hold my breath. And so far, really good work by the back four and by Keegan Rogers to keep this a clean sheet. But, boy, it's been dangerous at both ends in the last few minutes. There have been chances.
I'd offer a collective sigh,
Yeah.
a collective breath held perhaps by the folks here in the stands at Issaquah High School, cheering on their Gunners to try to get into the middle of the pack.
80th minute here. They've got a chance yet. 10 minutes to try and find a winner.
Played back, service in the area, Viston. No worries from the keeper.
A little bit short on the clearance, though.
And now things, perhaps because of the pressing nature of the offense right now, have gotten a little less decisive, a little less precise.
They have, and the defense of both teams looks a little more scattered, if no less effective.
Shot on goal is right at the feet of Tyler Viston, who has to move off his mark a little bit to the right in order to make that save.
That's well placed from Zach Hammond.
I thought so too.
That's a good use of a shot from distance, because not only was the screen there, but he put it somewhere the goalkeeper wasn't expecting.
Shielded away. Rogers comes up with it. Has to do a little bit of his athletic hustle to get out to the 10.
Keegan Rogers had played an absolutely spectacular game through 80 minutes.
And he'll have to play an excellent, outstanding 1 through 90 the way this thing's turning out.
That's true.
In order to get the full, not only the clean sheet, but at least guarantee his team a point.
Boy, would a late winner here be electric or what?
It's what we love to see. It's what every Gunner would love to see in the fans. And there's a run by Hammond. Actually, that was not Hammond. Number 9. Did you get a number on number 9?
This is the one we didn't get. It's a fantastic interplay before that between Hammond and Urzua, leading to that flick on and a great curving run through the area. Just a little bit too far and handled by Viston, but good creative attack from the Gunners here. I like what they're doing.
Not only creative, but I would say that the tender through the middle is also much more fortified, or seems to be a little stronger, bringing things forward and numbers forward in order to get those creative chances in the attacking third.
I think the addition of Ordonana about 10 minutes ago has made a big difference there.
Agreed. 8 minutes remaining. Service high should be right there for Keegan. He's knocked to the deck, and
that's
that
a foul.
Should be a foul and a warning. And Sporting to bring him up, and that won't draw much ire from the official, Max. The sporting thing to do, the correct thing to do.
It's not a reckless play. It's not a dangerous play. It's just two guys going up for the ball, and the goalkeeper's going to get the benefit of the doubt there, and I think that's how it ought to be. Then again, I am a goalkeeper, so perhaps my opinion can't be trusted here.
Misplayed by the defense, now running on. Here's an opportunity, blocked away.
That's a rocket off the foot of Marshall Kosaka. That's the best shot that anyone has placed all night on either end of the pitch. That was headed for the upper 90, and Tyler Viston makes an athletic save to push that to the screen.
Completely horizontal to the pitch was Tyler Viston, about 3 feet off the deck. In order to clear that one, header goes over the bar wide left.
You could hear the exhale, the frustration from the Gunners faithful here at Issaquah High School. That was an absolutely marvelous shot that Marshall Kosaka unleashed, curling back toward the field of play, but would have, I think, found the upper 90 or close to it. And Viston makes an absolutely marvelous save. You can't talk enough about the play by both teams in net tonight.
And here it comes again. It looks like it's going to end the same way the half began, as we get counter after counter, attack after attack. And now finally the far side, still into some danger, but they'll bring it into the midfield.
A lot of white shirts forward. Everyone except the goalkeepers in the attacking half right now for the Crossfire.
There's a chance, and a dangerous one as that one bends 12-6 right in front of Keegan Rogers, who has it just go over the bar.
Andy Toma's got a nice curveball, you're saying. That's a great shot.
How tough is it to bend it? You see it all the time in soccer. You get the English on the soccer ball and a lot of interesting bends that you can place on it, but getting 12-6 has got to be a difficult one to do.
It's very hard to do because you got to put the top spin on the ball, and it's a skill that takes a long time to develop. Kids learn early how to put a curve to the left or to the right, but changing the vertical profile of the ball is a lot more difficult. Give a lot of credit there to Andy Toma.
5 minutes remain here. We're about 84th minute of play. Still no score. And we've seen why, and it's been largely due to the men in the back of the net.
Absolutely superb play from both goalkeepers. Give them tons and tons of credit.
Rogers back into the midfield it goes, searching and probing once again. The midfield seems to be where the breakout is going to happen.
It's certainly the decisive area right now. Both teams are fighting to control it. Some physical play through there, and the opportunities that are coming out of the midfield with long runs rather than sustained pressure like we saw out of the Gunners in the first half.
Here comes a one-man advantage into the area, and a shot right to Rogers.
And that's a great example of the kind of attacks that have been going, these plays developing within 10 or 15 yards of the midfield stripe and running all the way forward toward the goal areas.
Unfortunate there that the Gunners could not get a counter mustered, because by the time that developed, there were 6 Crossfire players forward to the 4 defenders, and you were going to have a decisive advantage coming the other direction.
At the same time, though, it's tough to counter off of a one-man run like that was. Only one guy really got deep. There were 6 guys pushed forward, but only one of them, and I think it was Carlson, got really in toward the penalty area. So those are harder to counter on than those sustained when you've got 6, 7 men in the penalty area, maybe a corner kick, a set piece, and you have the chance to break the ball out quickly and run a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-3 down the other way.
About 3 minutes remain, plus the stoppage time here, which there will not be many. The substitutions have been very fast. Here's the center. The cross was through, but not online.
Urzua trying to play that back for Ordonana and just a little bit behind him. I really like the idea. You could see he thought about going with the back heel, and that would have maybe worked better. I don't know.
James to Smith, and now Roldan, who's been quiet, strangely quiet here in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, you haven't called his name for quite a while.
Now the Gunners will try to do what they do in the offensive side. We've seen a couple of very nice plays.
Kevin Cook lurking at the far post or the near post here.
You've also got Kosaka dangerously in the center, unable to be found. And this one will go on the near touchline back to the Gunners.
That one just sailed behind Andy Toma. He's frustrated, you can see. He thought he had a chance to go a long way with that ball.
Through the middle is Kosaka. He's got Kevin Cook here on the right-hand side, along with Ordonana. And in no call now, as the third official is right there in the middle and say went off the end line.
I think the goal kick is the right outcome if there wasn't a foul there. It's difficult to know if there was one. There was certainly a tangling of legs, but this is probably the correct outcome.
Slight push, and you're right. As soon as that ball comes down on either side, there's going to be pressure placed on the back of whoever's receiving it. We've seen that time and time again, especially here in the waning moments. Only 2 minutes of regulation time as a foul will be a free kick for the Gunners, and perhaps one of their last true opportunities here bearing a breakout.
It's a dangerous spot, and it's going to be interesting to see. It's probably too far for a direct shot, and indeed there's 5 blue shirts now moving toward the far post from the position of the free kick. They're going to look to try and curl this one in, change direction, get maybe a deflection.
Trying to keep it off mark, a punch over the bar, and that will be a corner kick awarded to the Gunners.
That's a very well-placed strike, and it forced a save from Viston. I think that probably would have gone off the bar and up and over, but instead,
why take the chance with 2 minutes to go in a ball game?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. It was the right play by the goalkeeper. I'm just saying that I don't think it was going to be on frame, but it's a very well-placed ball off of a free kick from a good 35 yards.
Urzua will take the corner kick. There's your opportunity. High. Off a one-touch and over the bar. Set up beautifully after the header.
Going down to get that with his head was Josh Miller. And a dangerous moment here.
And hustling back and saving the day on the counter.
Kevin Cook gets back and flicks that off the line with his back heel. You could hear the crowd here. We almost get one on one end for the Gunners, and then Crossfire come back and have probably their most dangerous moment of the match. Just absolutely frantic here in the waning moments of the 90.
And everybody breathing heavy and hanging on to their hips. Hands on hips, hands on knees. We've just seen about 400 yards sprinted in the last minute between the two sides. Dirksen has a man running up the left-hand side. He's got 2-on-2. Should he get it through and onside? Dropping it off midfield, now far side.
We're into stoppage time now.
Catches a piece of the keeper or the referee, and now that should have been, I believe, offside, although
level with Dodds is what the official was saying.
And that will go up and over into the outfield of the baseball park just beyond the
those guys just got done.
West side. Don't know what that wins you, the hit it here sign.
I guess.
Fancy footwork. And once again, sprinting into the on attack come the Gunners. Leaving it back for the midfield, trying to get everybody forward for a decent chance to spring this one 1-0. And they'll have to do it off of a free kick.
A little bit too far here for Cook to probably throw this into the area. He has that dangerous throw in, which we saw against Seattle Sounders a couple of weeks ago.
Urzua will try to go up the right-hand side, backstabs, and drops it back off.
Just a little bit too far, and the Crossfire will take a chance.
Ordonana was there. Puget Sound having a good opportunity up this right-hand side of the pitch. Seems to be where a majority of their offense has been derived. And now everybody giving up what little gas is left in the tank to try to make something happen rightfully.
Tremendous fitness by both teams here. None of the problems that we saw with the Kitsap game shown by either one of these clubs, and the level has gotten no lower as we've continued here. A little bit more frantic certainly, but no lower, and I think that's the end of the game.
A draw will go down in the standings. Will remain equal at the bottom of the table. 0-0 is your score between the Washington Crossfire and the Puget Sound Gunners. It's been an electric ball game. It started out quick and frantic, had a few lulls, and then, boy, you had to hang on and buckle up in order to finish the thing out.
An absolutely frantic last 10 minutes here. Chances for both clubs, some of the best of the game. A great shot off of the foot of Ordonana that was just palmed away Another opportunity back here, cleared off the line by Kevin Cook, a ball that was about to trickle in, and he sent it away. In the end, nobody gets on the score sheet. Absolutely outstanding work and goal by both of these gentlemen. Tyler Viston for the Crossfire and Keegan Rogers, the Western Washington man out of Portland for the Gunners. You just can't say enough about how those two played.
Clean sheets deserved for both of these keepers in net today. Keegan Rogers, Tyler Viston. If you've got to give a man of the match, I'd say you split it evenly down the center, and the result, of course, would warrant that. But none one more better than the other.
No, and both guys had to make athletic plays. Both guys had to make reflex plays, and they were both up to their task. I don't think either one of them, both of them were threatened. Neither one of them really looked out of control of the situation at any point, and give them both a lot of credit for the result here.
The Gunners move to 1-3-2, remain with that 1 point. They pick up 5 now as they head into the midway part of their season. The Crossfire will remain in 6th place. They add a point. They have 6, and are just a point behind Lane in the middle of the standings. They move to 1, 2, and 3 on the season, and they are even with goals scored and goals against, or the even 0 in the Delta, and they'll try to see what they can do. Then the following week, the Gunners will move on. They mentioned the trip up north through the Victoria and Vancouver turn. That'll be Saturday, June 14th. Puget Sound will be at Victoria. Sunday, June 15th, the trip across Puget Sound to Vancouver. And then they return here for another Vancouver Whitecaps affair at Issaquah High School. Our next broadcast will be Friday, June 20th, right here, a 7 p.m. start. You can watch it right where you found us all year on the Gunners home of FC Soccer, Gunners Soccer, and that is on the PDL on YouTube. YouTube, the official league's online video home, offering live games and feature content. You can subscribe for free to the USL PDL YouTube channel today, and Gunners FC is also a YouTube channel that you can visit. We'd be happy to have you there and listen again. You can go back and watch these games once they are finished here at Issaquah High School, the final 0-0. Any final thoughts, Nathan?
That was a really entertaining second half. We talked at the beginning of the second half about how the finishing just hadn't been there. That certainly wasn't the case there in the second half. The chances were there. The shots were on frame. The goalkeepers really stood tall in the second half, and it was a lot of fun to watch. I think the Gunners a little disappointed with the result. I think the Crossfire are also a little disappointed with the result, but certainly the fans got their money's worth there in the last 45.
Entertaining. We hope you were entertained as well. Nathan Murphy, thanks once again for being up here and taking us home. Wouldn't be a broadcast without our producer and engineer, Todd Elvig, for running controls. I'm Keith Neely. Once again, the final here at Issaquah High School, 0-0. The draw, 1 point apiece, and the Gunners will have to regroup, throw the turn to try to get more points and vault themselves into the standings for that trip into the playoffs if you can get to the top 3. We'll be back on the 20th of June. We hope you'll find us as well. Good night from Issaquah.